If you're a part-time reseller and are struggling with sales to the point where you don't know where to go, what to do, or if you're thinking of quitting, then the guest I've interviewed in this video is someone you need to listen to before throwing in the towel. She's one of Canada's top resellers on Poshmark who has truly mastered the art and science of using data to maintain incredible sales numbers every month. Imagine pulling in $5,000 to $6,000 every month doing the thing you love to do. The kicker here is that she does this all on a part-time schedule. She works full-time. She's a wife, a mom to two girls, a medium, a YouTube channel creator, and she takes the weekends off. She still finds time to crush it as a reseller. She's a true testament and living proof that you can earn a full-time income by working part-time hours. As one of my good friends, it makes me happy and proud that she uses our software to help her maintain her goals and productivity by freeing up her time. I'll let her tell her story and drop you some golden advice that you can't find anywhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Tabs McCaffrey. We have today a very special guest. I think you guys all know who she is. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. Your name, please.
Hello. Such an honor to be on here. So excited. My name is Tabs, and I'm actually Tabitha, but I go by Tabs. And yeah, I'm a Canadian reseller that sells on multiple platforms. And I have a YouTube channel. And yeah, just love helping others grow their reselling businesses.
What platforms are you currently selling on, Tabs?
Yeah. Okay. So Poshmark is my main platform. I started off on Posh Canada. I diversified to Posh US last year, and then I also sell on eBay. And I think I'm more of like a dabbler on eBay. I don't, I don't want to say I don't take it seriously, but I don't water that grass as much as I do my Posh grass. Uh, yeah, I have sold also on Etsy and Depop, and that was when I sold more vintage items, but I just don't source vintage as much anymore. And I wasn't seeing the value in the listing there for what I was listing and the sales. So I've kind of focused on the platforms where I'm seeing the most consistent ROI on my time and where I can kind of niche in a little bit more.
Right now, ROI, you mean return on investment, right?
Yeah, return on investment. And then I always say like that hourly wage. So I'm always calculating, I would say probably monthly, I would calculate my hourly wage. I know what gross sales I need to hit in a month. And I typically spend the same amount of time every week on my business. So for me, I have to hit a certain amount of sales. I have to make a certain amount of money per hour, um, in my mind, I guess, to keep my business going. And when that hourly wage starts to drop, then I know I gotta make some changes. I actually sometimes compare it to like my time investment. You know what I mean? Like, what am I putting into this? What am I getting back? Is this worth what I'm doing?
And you've got that. I know you for a while and you've got that down pat. I know you do. You're very organized in everything you do. And that is very inspiring. Not too many people are organized like that. Do you have any organization tips for people? Like what should they do to basically get organized with their reselling business? What would help?
Yeah, I think just being really honest with your numbers too. How many hours have you spent on your business this week or this month? Um, how much money have you spent? You know, what are you making after your fees, your cost of goods, your shipping discounts, like everything that you're doing, shipping supplies, like any business costs. And I typically do kind of like a big snapshot capture at the end of the year where I'll review the previous year and go over like what did I spend, what came in, what kind of time have I put in? And I think a lot of times when people first start out, they aren't paying attention and they're putting in all these hours, all these tireless hours, and they're like, yay, you know, I made $500 this week, but they put in 50-hour work week and they made $10 an hour. And that's like if you start right away working as efficient. So my best tip, I think this is what I like specialize in, is efficiency. Creating processes in your business for the tasks that you have to do to keep your business going, and how do you work as efficiently. So I would rather always work smarter. I would always rather work smarter. How can I make this the least amount of work with the most amount of gain? Like if something works, I keep doing it till it no longer works. Then I create something else. Like my shipping, I have an inventory system. I did that right away. My shipping area is like everything is within arm's reach. I just try and make everything so that I can do it as efficiently as possible. And I could easily get someone else to do it. So I would say the biggest part would probably be my shipping, but I've made it so like my kids can come in and ship. Like if I'm
Right.
gone, I can Zoom my daughter and I can be like, okay, I need you to do this. And I'm just there to troubleshoot in case she can't figure something out. But it's so simple that even my teenagers, right, could do my shipping for me.
Yeah, that's great. And like you mentioned, when you first start out, you're all over the place. You don't even sometimes calculate how much you're spending on inventory. Some people just think it's, oh, I made this much in sales, but they don't realize that they spent this much on inventory. Calculating cost of goods is so important if you
Yeah.
really want to know how you're doing. A lot of people in the
Yeah.
beginning don't do that.
No, and I don't think you have to do it individually. I know some sellers will do spreadsheets, they track each item on an individual basis. I don't. I do like how much did I spend, we'll say for my taxes purpose, how much did I spend in a year? Um, for myself, I'll be like, okay, how much did I spend this month? What did I have in gross sales? What was I paid out, right? And then how many hours have I put in this month?
Right. So the platforms you're selling on now, where are you spending your most time on which platform?
I would say Poshmark in general, because whatever I do in Posh Canada goes straight to Posh US.
That's right.
And I do find this is kind of funny. I find the pricing and what I get for items very similar. There's a couple brands that I may get less in the US side, but I sell majority of Lululemon and Aritzia, and both of those brands um, list their pricing very similar between Canada and US. They actually don't do the exchange rate.
Wow.
If
I didn't
that
know.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Both brands, like there is a very small difference. They don't take into account exchange rate between the countries.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Hmm.
So
That's a,
I can maximize on it being a Canadian, right?
yeah.
Because anytime I bring in US dollars with the exchange rate, I'm right now, I think I'm making 36 cents on the dollar.
You're mainly selling, I know you sell a lot of Aritzia. Is there
Yeah.
any specific category within that brand that you're in?
So I would say the categories I would lean towards are probably the ones that I see the most profits on. So for me, I'm going to see the most profit on pants, slacks, dress pants, jeans, um, then sweaters, long sleeve blouses, dresses as well. I feel like Aritzia pricing is very similar to Revolve, but except Revolve is a little bit more. I like to think of it as like club wear or like what, like it's all over the place. Where Aritzia does cater more to like business professionals, very like dressy, minimalist, contemporary looks. Um, what else? Jackets, shoes, boots. I'm looking for anything that's going to give me a good return. And that tends to be items that have that higher ticket value.
And would you say that you have a specific kind of audience that buys a specific kind of thing from
Yeah.
everybody has a
Yeah.
different audience,
Yeah. I always say I have like an avatar. Like I have an ideal customer of who I'm shopping for. I know what colors they like. I know what material contents. I know the styles. I would say I'm women's contemporary minimalist even.
right?
And I tend to gravitate towards more neutrals and blacks. But I will sell other things, but that would be my niche. And then that would be for the women's kind of dress wear. And then Lululemon would be my other one. And totally separate what's selling on Canada and what's selling on my US closet. So on my Canadian closet, it has to be, doesn't have to, but it does have to be, 3, 4 years max old for me to get a top dollar for it. Where on the US side, I think it's just because like sports is such a big thing on the US side. That's what I really like about selling in the US.
Yes.
I can sell older styles that come in crazy colors that I typically wouldn't pick up to sell in Canada, but they sell so quickly in the US. And I'm gonna say it's sports fans
We
that
love
are
our
bad.
sports. We
You
do.
do.
Beer and
You do.
sports. We
And
love it. We love it.
I mean, we like sports and cat. It's just, it's not the same.
It's not.
It's not the same.
Nah, every country is different. Every country, like
Yeah.
Europe, you have soccer. People are hardcore into soccer. Here, it's football and baseball. You
Yeah.
know, Canada is like hockey, and
Hockey.
you know, it's
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
cool though. At least you know what to sell where. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I know you're not doing as much live selling. I'm not sure. Are you doing more now or
No,
not
I'm
really?
not. I really don't. And I mean, it's teach their own. Um, I found with live selling, with my business model and the items that I'm selling, um, it was a big time commitment. And again, I go right back to that. What is my hourly wage? And for me to source what would be required to do lots of live selling to make up the price points more in volume, I just couldn't spend the hours. Like it would take me hours to source enough inventory. I do live in a smaller city center. I think we're like 230,000.
Wow.
Um, we have two Savers Club or Value Villages, and then a couple kind of smaller stores. So it's not a lot of options. So you're trying to like hit a very small selection of stores to provide you with the quality inventory that I would need to do live selling. And I
Right.
think if you have the ability to put the time in and build up your audience, I think it can definitely work. The other thing is, and not that this is like a rule, but I do find people see the most success when they're able to do live selling on the weekends or weeknights, when people are off work and they're able to shop. And that just doesn't work for our lifestyle. So evenings and weekends are the family time in our house. So yeah, that was another factor that I kind of played into. Again, when I make these decisions, it's all like business and numbers related.
Right.
And that just didn't work for me.
Yeah, you want to try to cram in everything business wise during the week so you could have those weekends off.
Yeah, the only like my kind of mantra was the only way this was going to work is if I could do it in a small amount of time. If it for me and I guess my life, I really value my time and I really value my family time and my weekends. And I always say time is my most valuable currency. I can't buy more time anywhere,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
right.
if I give it up and I'm not seeing the huge return. And I don't even say I don't even think I could exchange time for money. It's funny because my kids are older, and I think we're really starting to see how the time is just limited over the next few years with them, and then they're, adults living their own life. So we're just trying to soak in as much time as we can together, and that the landscape could change for me in 5 years. I could be like, yeah, live selling every weekend, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
You
definitely.
never know.
You
Yeah,
never
I'm
know.
fluid. I'm fluid. So
So many
what works
people,
now?
so many people
Yeah,
switch from silent shows to live shows, to not doing
yeah.
anything at all. But I guess it
I think
depends.
just being adaptable, right? That's the best quality that you can have as a reseller, is being adaptable and realizing when something is no longer working, that it is time to pivot and do something else. For right now, knock on wood, everything's working.
That's
Everything's
true.
running. It's meeting my parameters.
Yep, the engine is still running, and everything is oiled up and ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. I like to say I'm in the wash, rinse, repeat. So I know it works. I know it sells. I have my processes. I know where to source and what I'm buying. And the list, like everything is just, it's just wash, rinse, repeat every week. I don't necessarily have to think about it as much. I do silent shows here and there. I love that Posh Sidekick has that as an option.
Right,
The only thing that would be my lack of doing them is just my laziness to set them up.
right, right.
Not because they're not great. So I feel like when my sales start to dip, that's when I start kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying all, and it always works. And then my sales get going and I'm like, I don't have to do that because sales are going good. I do I do want to correlate though. When I am running silent shows, at least like two or three a week, I like to do them between Fridays and Sundays because that's when the app's the busiest for my closet and my shoppers.
Yeah.
Um, I do notice an increase in likes and views and things like that. And I like to look at live shows as free advertising. It's like a free advertisement that you get to have on the Posh Shows page. So if you want more advertising for your closet or you want to get more eyes on your items, I think it's a great way to do that without having to do the live selling. And if you're
Absolutely.
using Sidekick, it just does it on its own. Like doesn't
Yep.
get any than that.
Absolutely. It's definitely free advertising and it's a great tool. But as far as other tools that you might use, do you use any
Yeah,
other tools for market research or product research?
I don't. I
Nothing.
don't. If I have to look something up, I will usually go like if I'm checking sell-through rate, I'll just go onto eBay and look
Right.
it up. That's my go-to
Very.
for checking sell-through rate.
Mhm.
I am signed up, and this is a tip I always give out. If you know your demographic and who you're shopping for and who your ideal customer is, I always say sign up for the emails for the stores that those people shop at. So for me, it'll
Mm.
be Aritzia. I'm signed up for Aritzia's emails. I know every month what's trending, what are they trying to sell, what are the colors, what are the material contents, styles, cuts, all that stuff. And that helps when I'm going out. So I'm like, oh, neutral silks. Perfect. Okay, I'm going sourcing for the next couple weeks. That's what I'm looking for are neutral, oversized, boxy fit silk blouses, right? So I think knowing what moves the most in your closet, what brands, what styles, and then how do you kind of reverse engineer what those shoppers are looking for? Like, what else are they signed up? What would your ideal customer be looking for? Right?
That is a great.
What stores do they shop at? What activities do they have going on? What would they be looking for? What's trending for that season, right?
Mhm.
What colors, especially in women's fashion? I feel like trend can play a really big part in items moving quickly and knowing what's trending and watching, emails from, I think Revolve is another pretty broad company that has lots of different sub brands, lots of different styles, knowing what's selling there. But it's really whatever you have access to for inventory. So I always say if like Talbots is all they sell at the thrift stores in your area, well, you better know what is the best selling styles, material contents, colors from Talbots that's you're going to make a profit on.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's always going to be based on what you have access to. So
Exactly.
trying to do research on something that you'll never find, that doesn't make sense.
It's just a
So it's
waste of time. Yeah.
yeah, it's the way it's just it's figuring out that kind of magic spot between what are people looking for, what do you have access to, and how do you find the best pieces that you have access to.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, people
So
need to live within their means. And if you go above and beyond your means, you're just literally wasting time. You really are. You could be focusing on what you have at home or what you know is available at your local thrift, and just
yeah,
go from there. Research those items. See what people
yeah.
want out of that.
Totally. I know. So a comment I hear a lot is like, oh, you're successful because the city you live in, you have access to these brands or these brands. And I will always tell people, I have a close friend of mine that lives in an area that does not get any of the brands I do. She runs her business off of sell-through rate. She checks everything. She diversifies through different brands and she sells the same amount that I do.
Right.
She same. So like it's not an excuse. I don't accept it as an excuse.
No,
And
you're
I
a
think
testament
that
to that.
yeah, I think sell-through rate can really make the difference between a successful closet and one that's just hoarding, right?
So when you don't have access to those higher end brands, getting more technical with your data, analyzing your
Yeah.
data is more of what you want to do, right?
Yeah, win with knowledge.
Okay, so what is your typical reselling day looking like?
See, I'm not a conventional reseller because I'm trying to do it in a small period of time. I usually only have 2 days that I can give to reselling, and it's not even full-time hours each of those days. So what it would look like for me is at least 2 mornings I'm going sourcing. One morning will be an hour. That's my like one of the savers that I'll go to. And then if I'm not able to find the amount of items I need that week to list, then I will do a second day. And that's usually about a 2.5 hour shop.
Okay.
And I'll go to a couple different stores. I have a loop. Because again, like when you were saying, like, what are your best selling categories? When I go to the thrift store, I'm going straight to those categories that bring me the most money. I don't go to tank tops. If I can find everything I need on those higher dollar items, I don't go to the lower dollar items. So I do think my days may be a little bit different. For listing, I like to do batch listing. So if I source 20 items that day, I come home, say I'm home by, we'll say 11:30 or something. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to list these. I quickly steam them, hang them, photograph them all. Once they're photographed, I do my measurements, I inventory them, and I am still using a VA. I know that I had talked about it, I think last year. I'm still using her, and it's just an exchange of time for money for me right now. I just have to photograph. That's all I got to do. I wake up the next morning, she has my listings done. So that's been working really well. That's my exchange, my time for money thing. And then yeah, they're listed. That's it. And then it's just shipping. That's all I got to do.
At what
So it's
point do you think that someone should use a VA?
I think it's a very personal decision. Um, I think with the new software, where like the software that you guys have, where it creates that listing for you, does the description, you wouldn't need one. And if you're
Yeah.
just starting out, that's a great way to do it. Do you know what I mean? That's a great way. Um, for me, I was just trying to reduce those hours so that I could spend that time doing other stuff.
That's
So I
right.
don't really have an answer. It's really up to everyone else. And I think it would go into time and then how much money are you making? Right? It does cost money to have a VA. And if you're only making 10 or $15 an item, it might not be worth it for you.
The reason why I asked that is because there's so many people who ask that question in groups. They're saying, well, when is a good time for me to use software? When is a good time for me to get a VA? Like you said,
I hear it all the time. I
it
hear it all the
depends on
time.
you. Yeah,
I I think it's when you're at a point that you are willing to exchange that time for money.
that's
But
right.
I think you have to be making money to do those things. So hiring a VA will not make sales happen. You have to already be running a successful business. I think especially with the VA part, it's not going to change your sales. Um, you need to already have good processes in place. It's just
Right.
taking
That's
back time. Now, for using sharing software, I think when you hit that point that you can make the money to pay for it, right? And you find yourself on your phone all the time, that's your answer right there. Like
right.
this is like a secret that I didn't say much about, but I was using software before I even spoke about it on my channel because people used to like burn you at the stake if you were
Oh,
using
yeah.
sharing. You weren't a legitimate reseller.
Oh, I
You
know.
were not legitimate because you used automation. And I was like, man, I feel bad for the people that are spending hours and hours and hours a week on their phone and I'm out living my life golfing. I was like, for
Yes.
me, it's always been a business. It's always been a business. How do I make the most amount of money in the least amount of time? How do I have that hourly wage over $50 an hour? And it has for me, it has to be over $50 an hour to justify the time and effort that I put in.
A lot of platforms, it's not illegal to use that kind of software, and it's in a lot of platform. Let's call a spade here.
Let's
All
dig
right.
into this. Yes.
Let's dig into it. There are guidelines on
Mm-hmm.
platforms. Am I right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes would you agree to make money, to be successful, especially personally successful, don't you think sometimes one should go outside of the guidelines and come back
Absolutely.
into the guidelines? So
Absolutely.
not everybody is it does well within the margin. Some people need to go outside the margin to make it work. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. I want to state. that there
Yeah.
is nothing wrong with that. But people get hung up on that. There's a
Yeah.
stigma, but who cares? As long as you're making money, you're successful, it's taking care of your family and feeding
Yeah.
you. That's all that matters, really, in the
I
end.
think it's your business. You make the decisions, right? And then if there's possible consequences, you make those decisions with that in mind as well, right?
You deal with
Um,
it.
I I think the only way you're going to get in trouble, and this is just, open talking, is if
Mhm.
you're sharing your closet 20,000 times in a day.
And the worst that'll happen is they'll
20,000
soft band
shares.
you.
As
Yeah,
long as you are staying within their parameters, um, Poshmark is all about making money.
that's right.
That's that's what it is. They want you to make sales. They don't care. And I think that's why they haven't cracked down on that. Like they kind of have a guideline, but if they
Because they
truly were
have to. They
against it,
have to have a guideline.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
it's
I
the
think
business.
yeah, I was using it a long time before it was okay to talk about it. And I remember a couple bigger resellers that openly said they were using it. And then I was like, okay, it's okay. We can say this. They were
You
not.
can breathe.
Yeah, but I was like, why can't we talk about this? Let's talk about the hard things. Let's talk about things. Why do we have to make things so taboo? And why can't this be an open, there's no gatekeeping. Like, let's talk openly. There's enough people in North America or in the world for all of us to be successful. This whole like scarcity mindset just doesn't roll with me.
We're all human beings. We have to make a
Yeah,
living. We need to eat. However, we
exactly.
have to do it. This is how we're going to do it.
Exactly. And I like I wish, like, I know people are like, there's no way she spends 8 to 10 hours a week on her business. I promise you, I spend nothing more. And when I do the videos where I talk about what a week in my life looks like, I think it really lays it out. And you're like, okay, dang, she really is not. Because I have a busy life. I take weekends off. I don't work evenings. Um,
You're
I
the
work
proof.
days.
You're the proof.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's possible. But for me, it's only possible with tools and using an automation tool that's sharing my closet, sending out offers, relisting, running silent shows, uh, doing like even the cross listing, doing the autofill when you cross list and it's like autofilling all my categories.
Right.
That's a huge time saver right there. I
And
know
you
there's
know,
people
it wasn't
like,
that right away. This didn't happen to you overnight. And eventually you got to a point where you had a system. Am I
yeah,
right? You
yeah.
know,
And
that
it's put that time in now, right? Work on those systems before you think you need them. And
is
then you can build your business with those. It's tougher to build them once you're out of control and spinning wheels.
so with that, what is your biggest reselling pet peeve? What just drives you nuts about this reselling game?
Okay, Mike, you know me, not much does. I'm pretty chill, I'm pretty laid back.
I
I
know.
am very
There's got
out
to
of.
be something though.
So I think what has upset me the most in the past is when the algorithms change and I
Yeah.
just feel like I got it nailed. And I'm like, yes, sales are climbing again. And all of a sudden it's like, we changed the search, we changed this, we're changing this. Those things drive me nuts. And it's like, by limiting us and changing these things, it just affects sales, I guess. I always think like this is making you less money when you do these things. So that used to upset me more is like when platforms made changes.
Right. Right.
And
That would
yeah,
piss
other
anybody
than
off.
that,
That would make anybody truly
yeah,
upset.
it's so infuriating where you're just like, oh my God, I thought I had this figured out. And then they just kind of pull the rug out behind underneath you. I mean, like the typical seller fees, probably a pet peeve of mine. They're so high.
Right.
Paid promotion. I did the not paid promotion, but I did the Poshmark one, and that one gets out of hand so quickly. It didn't work. I know does work for some people. It didn't work for me. I had more success doing the promotion through Posh Sidekick and promoting my 7 listings. I look at them every 2 weeks just because my sell-through rate's pretty high. Items sell pretty quickly, so I do have to check those promoted listings probably every 2 weeks, get rid of the ones that sold, add some new ones. But yeah, I think it's just all the changes they make that drives me
Yes.
nuts.
It's like pulling the blanket off of you while you're sleeping on a really cold night. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
what happened? Now I got
yeah.
to get
What are you guys
comfortable again.
doing? What are you guys doing? And yeah, I think Yeah. Yeah. I don't, I can't think of anything else. I honestly can't.
So Tabs, with all of that said and everything we spoke about, we do have a lot of beginners listening. I would like to know, or they would like to know, if you're a beginner, what's your best advice or motivation or any sort of tips that you could give beginners who are struggling right now?
I love this question. I do because I wish that the first year I resold, I would have checked sell through rate, that I would have worked on building my knowledge. I was just like spinning tires, grabbing things, and oh, I can make $5, I can make $10. And I worked myself to almost burnout in that first year, making profit, but like I worked really hard to make that profit.
Mhm.
And it was probably a year in where another reseller had reached out to me and she suggested I started checking sell through rate on things and look them up. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. And it literally was that summer where things started to change. And then I started to build that brand knowledge. So I would say from day one, fill your cart, go to the back corner and check on eBay. What are these items selling for? How many items are listed? And what is that range, right? So for me, it has to be over 60% usually to justify picking it up, unless I know that this is a specific item that my niche of buyers would buy. And I would use eBay for it. I always say make decisions based on data, not on emotions.
Right.
If you're trying to run a business, you need to take the emotions out of it and just base it on straight data. And I think that's where you'll start to see more success. I know there are people that'll be like, I never check sell through rate. And that's awesome. They probably have an eye for fashion, they have an eye for what's selling, but not everyone has that. And that's okay. And then I think if you put that time, like for someone new, if you spent 1 year checking sell through rate, looking items up, by the end of that year, you'll find that you do it maybe 20% of the time because you would have so much knowledge by that point.
Right.
And then it's just kind of keeping it up a little bit. Oh, I see a new brand, feels like good material content. I'm going to look this up. It's just building that base. And once you have that base, anyone can learn it. You could be the most unfashionable person and still learn, but it's just going back to that sell through rate. What are people buying? What is selling? And how saturated is the market for that piece?
The data does not lie. It does not
Doesn't
lie. That
it
is
doesn't.
great.
And you got to think of it this way, like big companies, they don't just make decisions, like big fashion companies, big retailers, they don't make decisions on just like feelings and emotions. They're always looking at their data. They're always looking at what is selling, what is their best categories, what are their, they're making data decisions. And I know we're on a micro level, but there's no reason why we can't apply some of their business models to what we're doing.
That is so true, man. The top sellers and the bigger sellers, they're using a lot of data also. And if we could apply
Yeah.
that, like I always say, if I know what I know now, then I'd be way more successful now. I'd be so far ahead. So that is great advice. That is
Yeah.
like your future selves, people talking to
Yeah. Yeah. And I always think like where I'm at right now with my business, I'm kind of in coasting mode.
Mhm.
Like I'm happy where I'm at, happy with the hours I spend, but I have this possibility to know that if in a few years I decide to do this full time,
Mhm.
what I could potentially make.
That's right.
And I think it, I wish that where I am now, I would have knew all of this
That's
when I first started.
I think we all
'Cause
think that way. Yeah.
I spent a good 2 years working really, really, really hard. And now I like to call myself, I'm a lazy reseller. I'm lazy. I am trying to work the least amount and make the most. And my gross sales, what were they for April? I think they were 5.8 thousand.
Right. Right. Right.
So which
Wow.
is
That's
not
great.
bad. 8 to 10 hours a week. It's pretty
That
good.
is, it doesn't get better than that. And you earned it.
Yeah.
You're there. And
Yeah.
that's where we all strive to be. We all strive to become that lazy person where we're just comfortable and we don't have to worry anymore because we have everything down. So, Tabs,
I,
you are just amazing. I know you for a long time now,
you are
and
too.
we're happy to have you. We really are.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
you.
for doing this. I think it's going to benefit a lot of people. And till next time, we'll follow up with you, I guess, in a couple months to see where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to close out with thank you so much for having me on. I love every opportunity I have to help newer resellers or resellers that are feeling stuck or in a rut. So, yeah, I just hope that everyone can take a little nugget wherever they want to take a nugget from today's conversation, but it's possible. Everyone, we can do this.
Definitely. You don't have to be the best. Just
Don't
everybody's
have
got
to
to
be the
start somewhere.
best. Yeah, you can learn. This is something you can learn. Everyone can learn this.
Well, hopefully everybody does. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
we'll follow up. And
Yeah. We'll see you
if you
guys next
guys
time.
want to drop a comment below, ask Tabs any questions, I'm
Yeah.
sure she'll be around to check out your comments. So thanks so
Absolutely.
much. We'll link her closet and her YouTube channel down below also. So
Bye.